Greetings, intense, seductive, focused Scorpio. My name is Eliane Nicole. I'm an astrologer and tarot card reader, and now I'm going to do the January 2021 forecast for the sign of Scorpio. I am going to start with the tarot reading, and then in the second half of the video, I am going to talk about broad strokes of some of the planetary transits. I encourage you to follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole, because there I will continue the conversation that I start here and fill in more details about the planetary transits as they happen. In my stories, I do the daily transits for the moon, and then in my feed, the transits of the planets and the moons and the new moons. And in the meantime and in between time, it's great if you watch the videos here for your sun and rising sign, especially your rising for the second half of the video, because that is where you'll know where the houses are that the planets fall in your chart. So as we enter the month of January, Scorpio, it looks like you are feeling trapped, maybe mentally in your mind about something. And you are covered by the Nine of Cups, which is your wish coming true. And you are crossed by the Page of Wands, which is a new start, beginning on a new path. And the basis is the sun, so it's about joy, fulfillment, higher consciousness, enlightenment. What's leaving is the Ten of Cups. This might be spending time with family, and what could come into being is the Wheel of Fortune. This is fate. This is about fate and destiny and the cycles of life. And it looks like around mid-month, there could be a twist in events, an unexpected twist of events for the better. And what will come into being also around mid-month, we see a very wise woman who is in your midst. And what fears or insecurities, this is the King of Wands reversed. This has to do with a man who is not taking action. Others see you as the devil. So, I mean, this could be that someone sees you as being in a situation of bondage in your life. This could be that someone sees you as being, a situation of bondage. It can be anything from a relationship to an addiction, to being in a job you don't like, to living somewhere you don't like. The range is very wide with that. And your positive feelings are the Ace of Swords reversed. So it's a new idea that you have. You may not be able to move forward on it at this time, but you have very positive feelings about this towards the end of the month. And then the outcome is the Nine of Pentacles reversed. And so the Nine of Pentacles reversed is, it feels like you are having a sense of lack or scarcity at the end of the month. I don't think it's based in truth. I think it's just a feeling that you're having. And so, that's like, kind of self-esteem stuff. And I recommend, just giving yourself some tender love and care, some daily meditation, some like grounding activities towards the end of the month would be good for you. And January 6th, Mars enters Taurus. Now I'm going to go into the astrological portion of the reading. When Mars enters Taurus, it is entering your 7th house of relationships. And so Mars in Taurus is going to be up to things in that 7th house of relationships for you this month. It's the house of marriage, also the house of relationships or business partnerships. Long-term business partnerships are like marriages as well. January 8th, Mercury enters Aquarius. When Mercury enters Aquarius, it's entering your 4th house. So the 4th house of home, the 7th house of marriage, these are really important houses for you this month. The 4th house of home, as you know, is super important because that is where you are beginning a new 20-year era as of the Great Conjunction meeting there at the winter solstice. And so now, with Mercury moving in there, At the beginning of January, there's just going to be a lot of thinking, talking, writing, communicating, planning, scheduling in this area of your life. And this is great. This time is setting the tone for a new 20-year chapter. And let's see, January 8th, Venus moves into Capricorn. When Venus moves into Capricorn, she is moving into your third house of communication. And so there's a couple of ways this can manifest. This can have to do with a sibling or a sister and practical matters around that, or a sister who's very serious and practical, doing planning or pragmatic things. That's one of the manifestations, but it could also have to do with neighbors, your neighborhood, creating form and structure around beautifying or plans for the neighborhood. It could also have to do with things around your children's school life, if you have kids that are in school, and it could have to do with, arts programs or creative things within their school, that there's like serious planning, or you're trying to bring form and structure to something like that. So those are a lot of the different manifestations, but there's more, but you get the idea of how those archetypes may present for you. January 12th is the new moon in Capricorn. That new moon in Capricorn is also in the third house. So the third house is an important house for you this month as well. You've got Venus entering there, and you've got the new moon there. And if you watched my December 2020 videos, I talked about how while Mercury was in Capricorn, that's the best time to be, writing your business plans for the new year, setting your budgets for the new year, making your action plans for the new year, because that Mercury in Capricorn is very, has clarity of mind and is very business minded and serious and pragmatic and realistic. But it entered Aquarius January 8th. However, January 12th, at the new moon of Capricorn, that's when we do the magic around all of the thinking and writing and business plan stuff we did with Mercury there. And now we do our altar, and we write our intentions of what we want to manifest in our business life and what we want to manifest in our financial life under the Capricorn new moon, because Capricorn rules those issues. And new moons are incredibly fertile cosmic soil to plant the seeds of intention that we want to manifest. And the Capricorn new moon is specifically money and business. But for you, that Capricorn new moon is also in that third house. And so you would also be setting intentions around third house topics, which range from communications, medias, blogs, podcasts, newspapers, any kind of communications, mail, messages, but it's also your communications, how you speak, how you think, how you listen, your tone of voice, how you learn. If you have children, this can be things around their school and their learning environment that you can set intentions around. Also, sometimes if you don't have children, or even when you do have children, the third house can also relate to your neighbors and your neighborhood, and kind of like your beehive, and where you kind of do all of your daily activities. And so you can set intentions around that. And also, finally, the third house can also be siblings. So if you have any intentions you want to set around your siblings or extended family members, if you don't have siblings like cousins and stuff, then I encourage you to use this new moon for that. So there's a lot of levels to that house. January 14th, Uranus goes direct. That is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So again, Uranus, the planet of shakeups, plot twists, disruption, the unexpected. He shake things up so we can have a new perspective, And again, Mars is there too, so that house is going to have some, potentially seismic activity in that area of your life, relationships, marriage, partnerships. And that can be the house for lawsuits and quarrels as well, if you have something like that going on. January 15th, Mercury pre-shadow begins. So Mercury does not actually go retrograde until January 30th, but we are in pre-shadow at January 15th, meaning that's the degree it will back up to. And so this is the time when we are going to start having bubble ups and foreshadowing of things that will probably become more frustrating, annoying, confusing, potentially issues in the first 3 weeks of February. So I encourage you, if you have any contracts to sign, if you have any important emails to send, any important discussions to have, any new starts to make of any kind, any surgeries, did I say that? You want to do that in the first 2 weeks of January, not in the second 2 weeks. And if it's impossible to do it in the first 2 weeks, you definitely want to get anything like that done before January 30th, because once Mercury goes retrograde, and it's in Aquarius this time, so Aquarius, Mercury retrograde can bring up all kinds of things like, Aquarius rules technology, it rules the internet, so we could have, the internet shutting down on us, we can have our computers, our cell phones, our texts going haywire at that time. We can have our thought processes, communications with others in any way, conversations, anything, kind of going haywire. And so we want to handle that stuff, the important things, and we want to give Mercury, the trickster, its space to do what it's going to do. And obviously, Mercury retrograde, sometimes we can't avoid the things that we have to do, but we can be conscientious about it and kind of try to ride the cosmic wave for what it is rather than try to resist it, and make an uphill battle for ourselves where it's not necessary, January 17th, Jupiter squares Uranus. I encourage you to watch the 2021 entire year forecast video I did. I did one video for all of the signs, and I talk in more depth about this transit because it's a really fascinating transit historically. It has to do with like sudden liberation and sudden expansion and iconic cultural moments and breaking records and all these things for the collective. But in your chart, Scorpio, it is bringing together that house of home and the house of marriage or relationship. So it looks like unexpected expansion, unexpected new horizons, unexpected liberation, something like that between those areas of your life. And again, this is the Scorpio rising personality. January 19th, Vesta goes retrograde in your house of friends, groups, organizations. I think I talked in more detail in my November 2020 forecast when Vesta first entered this house for you. But basically in the first 6 months of 2021, you have an invitation from this asteroid to explore what you are devoted to and what is sacred to you in terms of your friendships and the groups that you were affiliated with or the organizations that you were affiliated with. January 19th, the sun enters Aquarius. As the sun enters Aquarius for that month from, January 19th to February 18th, it is going to, be highlighting these Aquarian issues, which, everything is going back to this house for you. The Great Conjunction happened there at the winter solstice, kicking off a new 20-year era in your life. Jupiter is going to be there for the next year, bringing grace, expansion, growth, vision. Jupiter will zip away, and Saturn, who's there with Jupiter and has been there also since the winter solstice, is going to stay there for 2.5 years, giving you the opportunity to really roll up your sleeves and bring form and structure to those Jupiterian visions and ideals in this area of your life. And at the beginning of 2021, you've got Pallas Athene, your chess playing, Queen's Gambit asteroid is there, and Mercury, the planet of your thought processes, is there, and giving you an opportunity to really think about and talk about and plan in this area of your life of, what are your visions, what are your ideals, and how are you going to bring form and structure to them. And Aquarius is genius, Aquarius is inventive, Aquarius is, thinking out of the box, Aquarius is disrupting old systems, Aquarius is progressive, and it's for the collective and for the whole. And so these are ways that you're going to be thinking around these topics in your life, represented by the fourth house, which primarily it's the house of home, but again, it's also the house of parents, it's the house of the ancestors, the house of roots, the house of legacy, the house of wealth, the house of land, real estate. Did I say that? So anyway, Very deep house, very important house, and a really important time to be thinking about it, you know, and talking about it. And um, yeah, so did I talk about, I talked about the Jupiter square Uranus with those two houses. Yes, Sun and, okay, so Neptune is square the nodes January 26th. That's been building since October. It's hitting an exact in January. And the thing about these January transits, I also want to say to you, Scorpio, is that although these transits are hitting exact in January, these are setting off themes that we will be exploring for the entire year. So January is very like, you know, it's very dynamic and it's very kind of prophetic in that way. It's setting the stage. It's almost like giving us an outline in the first month of like what the vibe is going to be throughout the year. And then especially in January, February, but I'm not going to get into that now because I'm keeping the video going. But the Neptune and the nodes, this has to do with something in the unseen, a karmic turning point that's happening in your life. Neptune is in the unseen, the nodes are unseen. They have to do with karma and dharma. However, what the astrology can tell you at this point is it has to do with your 5th house. That's the house of children. It's the house of creative projects. It's the house of pleasure, joy. It's the house of sex. So that house is where Neptune is, and then it's having a T-square bringing together the 2nd house and the 8th house, which is the money houses. So there is some karmic turning point as it relates to all those issues that is happening at this time. And you may be aware of it. Sensitive Neptunian types or lunar types will maybe be more aware of it. People who aren't as connected to the nodes or Neptune, it may manifest on the earthly plane for you later, even though it's unfolding cosmically now, if that makes sense. January 28th is the full moon of Leo. That full moon is in your 10th house of career and attainment, bringing illumination to that area of your life and also possible culmination in that area of your life. This is a very passionate full moon in Leo. It's a very dramatic full moon in Leo. It's a very playful and fun full moon in Leo. It can be a very entertaining full moon in Leo. This full moon is really interesting because it's opposing all of that stuff going on in your 4th house of home. So there may be some tension between those 10th house, you know, career and attainment aspects and the 4th house home and privacy aspects going on. However, there is so much to learn and there is so much illumination at this time around these topics that are really setting the stage for the next 20-year era of your life. So this is such an important turning point time. And then finally, Mercury goes retrograde January 30th, and it will be retrograde the first 3 weeks of February. It went into pre-shadow January 15th. I talked about that a lot in this video, so I'm not going to repeat everything again. But at this point, I think we can expect, you know, technology to go haywire, thought processes to go haywire, schedules and plans to go haywire, and, you know, for some it will be mental health going haywire, and for some it will be, you know, backwards thinking, and, you know, so lots to look forward to. And that is the forecast for January 2021 for Scorpio. If you like this video, give me a like. If you don't like it, give me a don't like, but I hope you liked it. Please leave me comments and feedback, good or bad. I appreciate any feedback. I'm learning, and you know, thank you for joining me, and please subscribe to my channel. I mean, I've been doing astrology and tarot for over 30 years, but I'm learning YouTube and presenting it in this way, you know, so I appreciate any feedback. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share this with other Scorpios that you know, or Scorpio risings. Watch the video for your rising if this isn't your rising too. Follow me on Instagram at astrology.tarot.Eliane Nicole, and please have a wonderful January. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining me.